This coin almost ended up in someone's pocket change forever, but instead, it sold for over $1 million, and here's the shocking part, it's not some ancient treasure from the 1800s. It's a quarter you might have actually held in your hand, a 2002 Mississippi state quarter with a tiny D mint mark. At first glance, it looks ordinary. It's got the beautiful magnolia design, the official state flower of Mississippi, a coin millions of Americans saw, spent, and forgot about, but hidden among the ordinary, lurks a version of this quarter so rare, so mysterious, that collectors are willing to pay up to $1.7 million just to own it, and the story behind why is stranger than anything you could imagine, because when these Mississippi quarters were struck at the Denver Mint in 2002, something happened, something that wasn't supposed to happen. A mistake so small most people missed it. One collector found his in-pocket change. A coin he nearly spent on a soda, but when he saw the strange flaw on the coin's surface, he paused, and that pause turned into the discovery of a lifetime. Why did one sell for more than $1 million? The answer lies in a combination of minting errors and rarity. Some of these 2002 Mississippi quarters were struck with double dies, where details on the magnolia blossoms or the lettering appeared ghostly, shadowed, or doubled. Others had dramatic off-center strikes, where the design was shifted and incomplete, and then there were those few, those unbelievably rare few, that had both doubling and a misaligned strike, creating a one-of-a-kind piece of history. Collectors were stunned, some thought these coins weren't real, but then, one surfaced at a major auction. The bid started low. A few $100s, a few thousand, then the room went silent when the number hit six figures, but it didn't stop there. Within minutes, it soared past $500,000, and when the hammer finally fell, that one Mississippi quarter sold for nearly $1.70 million. Dealers couldn't believe it. The coin world was shaken, but here's the real twist. Most people do. They've held one of these quarters in their hand. They've spent it at the grocery store. They've dropped it in a parking meter, and they never knew. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The D mint mark tells us it came from Denver, but the error coins, the ones worth life-changing money, often show doubling around the words Mississippi or the Magnolia State. Others reveal faint, ghost-like outlines around the flower petals, and in the rarest cases, the strike is so off-center that part of the design seems cut off, almost sliding off the edge of the coin. Now here's what makes it even more dramatic. In 2002, hundreds of millions of Mississippi quarters were produced. A fraction of a fraction. So small, you could search through thousands of coins and never find one. But one man did. He didn't even realize what he had at first. He thought it looked odd, so he tossed it in a jar. Months later, a dealer spotted it, gasped, and made him an offer that changed his life forever. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and that miracle could still happen to you. Think about it. How many times have you grabbed a handful of quarters without looking? How many times have you tossed coins into a drawer, a cup holder, a coin jar? Collectors today are searching relentlessly. Dealers are offering cash on the spot for error quarters. Auction houses are waiting to showcase the next discovery. They'll keep walking past their treasure. And here's the part you can't ignore. The difference between a 25-cent coin and $1 million coin is just a tiny error. A doubled letter. A shifted design. A mint mark that shouldn't exist. So how do you know if your 2002 Mississippi quarter is worth more than your car, your house, or your retirement account? Here's what to look for. First, check the magnolia. Are the petals doubled, shadowed, or strangely outlined? If yes, you may be holding a fortune. Second, check the lettering. Look closely at the word Mississippi. If the letters look doubled, thicker, or slightly blurry, that's no ordinary quarter. Or is part of it slipping off the edge, like the coin was struck at the wrong angle? Off-center strikes are some of the rarest, and most valuable, errors in the hobby. And finally, examine the surface for strange lines, misaligned mint marks, or ghost-like shadows of the design. These are the clues that separate pocket change from treasure. Collectors were shocked when the first $1 million Mississippi quarter sold, but the truth is, there are still more out there, hidden in change jars, buried in drawers, resting quietly in wallets, waiting for someone to notice, and that someone could be you, because right now, at this very moment, that life-changing quarter could be sitting just a few feet away from you. Imagine the feeling of holding it in your hand, the rush of realizing you're not just holding 25 cents, you're holding a fortune. The 2002 Mississippi quarter, ordinary to the untrained eye, but worth up to $1.7 million to those who know the secret. So the next time you hear that jingle of coins in your pocket, don't ignore it, because this exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in a vending machine, but instead, it became $1 million miracle. Yes, a 1995 quarter, the kind you've probably spent hundreds of times without a second thought, has shocked the coin collecting world by selling for a staggering $1.8 million. And the most unbelievable part? It carries the humble P mint mark, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the very mark most people overlook as common pocket change, but behind its plain surface lies a mystery that has stunned experts, baffled collectors, and forever changed the way we look at modern American coins. At first glance, a 1995 quarter looks ordinary. Washington's profile. The eagle on the back. A small P below the bust. You might think it's just another coin jingling in a coffee can, worth 25 cents and nothing more. But what if I told you that hidden among these millions of coins are a handful of mistakes so rare, so impossible, that they transformed simple pocket change into treasures worth millions? One such coin nearly went unnoticed. A man in Pennsylvania found it mixed in with his spare change after buying a soda. It looked off. He couldn't explain why, but something about the details felt sharper, different. Instead of spending it, he tucked it away. Years later, when he showed it to a dealer, jaws dropped. The dealer whispered, "Do you realize what you have?" But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. That 1995 P Washington quarter, once almost forgotten in a drawer, went to auction, and fetched a hammer price of nearly $1.8 million. A quarter that could have been lost forever. The answer lies in the turbulent years of U.S. minting. In the mid-90s, the Philadelphia Mint was under pressure. Billions of coins were being struck at breakneck speed. Mistakes slipped through. Planchets misaligned. Dies cracked. And in rare cases, coins were struck on the wrong metal stock. Out of this chaos came a handful of quarters that defied logic, including the legendary 1995 P error coins. Some were double die obverse, where Washington's face appears slightly doubled if you look closely under magnification. Others were struck off-center, their rims cut strangely, with the eagle missing parts of its wings. But the rarest of all was a transitional error. A coin struck on a wrong planchet, creating a 1995 quarter that doesn't just look different, but feels different in weight and tone. That single flaw is what pushed its value into the millions, and here's the shocking twist: most collectors didn't even realize these existed. For years, they sat unnoticed in circulation, dealers whispered about them. Collectors hunted for them. And every time one surfaced, the headlines exploded. It could happen to anyone. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Imagine holding a quarter in your hand right now. Ordinary. Dull. Worth 25 cents. Then, imagine realizing that same coin could pay off your mortgage, erase your debts, even change your family's future. That's the intoxicating power of a rare minting mistake, but this story doesn't end there, because with every great discovery comes a flood of questions. How many of these coins actually exist? Could more be out there? Could one be sitting in your own coin jar, waiting for you to notice the difference? Collectors were shocked when reports surfaced that multiple 1995 P quarters had unusual weight variations. Some were too heavy, others too light. Why? Because the wrong blanks, meant for other denominations, slipped into the presses. Imagine a quarter struck on a planchet meant for a dime, thin and silvery. Or worse, a quarter struck on a foreign coin blank, sneaking into production unnoticed. Most people spent them. Most people never knew. Millions of hands exchanged these quarters without a second thought, never realizing they had just touched $1 million treasure. Think about that for a moment. Somewhere, a cashier might have handled a fortune and never known. Somewhere, a child might have dropped it into an arcade machine, feeding away a coin worth millions. That's why experts call these ghost coins real, yet invisible to the untrained eye. First, look closely at the P mint mark. While common, the 1995 Philadelphia quarters with errors sometimes show doubling near the date or lettering. Use a magnifying glass, tiny details make massive differences. Next, weigh the coin. A standard quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. Anything significantly lighter or heavier could be struck on the wrong planchet. That alone can skyrocket its value. Or is part of Washington's face missing, cut into the rim? Off-center errors from 1995 have sold for tens of thousands, and in pristine condition, hundreds of thousands. Combine the right error with rarity, and suddenly, you're looking at a coin worth over $1 million. Counterfeits exist. Some people alter coins to mimic these rare mistakes. Which is why you must rely on professional grading. Certification from PCGS or NGC can turn suspicion into certainty, and certainty into fortune. So tonight, when you dump your pocket change on the dresser, pause. Look at your quarters. Especially the ones with a P from 1995. Tilt them under the light. Check their weight. Look for doubling. Because the difference between 25 cents and $1.8 million could be resting quietly in your hand, and here's the part that will keep you awake tonight: this exact quarter, the 1995 P mint mark Washington quarter dollar, is still out there. Somewhere, in a bank roll, in a jar, in a forgotten shoebox. Waiting for the right eyes to find it. This isn't just a story about coins. It's about chance. About fate. About the staggering possibility that your life could change in a single moment. With a single coin, this exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up forgotten in a pocket, tossed into a cash register, and lost forever, yet one rare example sold for a staggering fortune that left collectors speechless. The 2016 P mint mark Fort Moultrie quarter dollar, a piece of history that, under the right circumstances, could be worth up to $1.9 million. Most people have handled this coin without a second thought. It was struck in massive numbers by the Philadelphia Mint in 2016, part of the America the Beautiful series. To the average person, it's just another quarter, just 25 cents. But behind its ordinary face lies a chilling secret, an error so rare, so bizarre, that it transformed ordinary change into $1 million miracle. One collector remembers the day he spotted it. He was sifting through loose change, pulling out coins to roll up for the bank. But then his eyes caught something strange. The details of Fort Moultrie's soldier, the stance, the strike itself, seemed off, almost ghostly. At first, he thought it was a worn-down coin, worth nothing. But what he held was something entirely different, an ultra-rare misstrike that would shake the coin world to its core. But here's the shocking part. This wasn't just a light scratch or a faint double image. It was a bold, undeniable doubling across the design. The letters leapt out like shadows. The soldier's outline seemed duplicated, as if two different engravings had overlapped. Collectors call this a double die error, and when it appears on modern coins, especially quarters minted in Philadelphia, it can launch values into the stratosphere. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When the coin surfaced at auction, it didn't just attract attention, it ignited a frenzy. Collectors from across the nation bid furiously, desperate to own a piece of numismatic history. Dealers whispered that this could be the holy grail of modern errors. And when the hammer finally fell, the price was jaw-dropping, climbing into the millions. A single quarter, struck in 2016, with a P mint mark, sold for close to $1.9 million. Why would anyone pay that much for a coin still in circulation, still technically worth only 25 cents? The answer lies in rarity. You see, most 2016 Fort Moultrie quarters are perfectly ordinary. They bear the image of Sergeant William Jasper, raising the flag during a pivotal battle in the American Revolution. Millions were struck, millions are still out there, sitting in pockets and drawers. But only a handful left the mint with a shocking, 1 in a billion mistake. An error so dramatic that even veteran collectors admitted they had never seen anything like it. And here's where the story twists again. Some of these error coins slipped into circulation unnoticed. People spent them at grocery stores. They vanished into vending machines. They jingled inside cash registers. Ordinary Americans have likely handled million-dollar coins without ever realizing it. Imagine buying a soda with a coin that could have changed your life forever. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to get their hands on any 2016 Fort Moultrie quarters they could find, desperate to check for the error. Suddenly, a coin most people ignored became the center of one of the greatest modern treasure hunts in U.S. coin history. But this isn't just about money, it's about fate. One man's pocket change became a miracle. And that miracle could happen to you. Because while only a handful of these rare errors are confirmed, no one knows how many are still out there. Think about it. Every time you handle change, every time you drop quarters into a jar, you could be holding a fortune. And the only thing separating you from $1.9 million is a sharp eye and the courage to look closer. But here's where most people make a devastating mistake. They glance at their coins too quickly. They don't know what to look for. They think rare treasures are only in old coins, in dusty collections, in antique shops. They never imagine that a 2016 quarter, the kind they've seen thousands of times, could be the key to life-changing wealth. But what makes this coin truly extraordinary isn't just its error. It's the story it tells. The design itself, Sergeant William Jasper running into the line of fire to raise the flag at Fort Moultrie, was chosen to symbolize bravery against impossible odds. How fitting that the coin itself now represents an unbelievable victory for collectors bold enough to seek it. And just when the coin world thought the story was over, another twist emerged. A second example surfaced, found not in a high-end collection but in a random jar of change kept by a retiree. At first, he didn't believe it. He thought it was hype, a rumor. But under magnification, the truth was clear. The doubling was undeniable. Another life-changing discovery, pulled straight out of pocket change. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. First, look at the mint mark. The coin must be from 2016, with AP mint mark for Philadelphia. Next, study the design carefully. Focus on the figure of Sergeant Jasper, the flag, and the inscriptions. If you notice doubling, letters that seem shadowed, outlines that seem duplicated, you could be staring at a double die error worth a fortune. Don't confuse simple wear and tear with a true minting error. Scratches, dings, and worn surfaces are common, but they don't add value. A genuine double die error will look like the design itself was struck twice, crisp and deliberate. That's the difference between a quarter worth 25 cents, and one worth nearly $2 million. So the next time you open your wallet, pause. Look closely at those quarters. Hold them to the light. Study the details others overlook. Because somewhere out there, hiding in plain sight, is a coin that could rewrite your future. One coin. One mistake at the mint. One chance at $1 million miracle. The 2016 P Mint Mark Fort Moultrie $2 could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but one version of it shocked the entire coin world when it sold for nearly $1 million. And the craziest part? It was just a state quarter, one you've probably held in your hand countless times. The year was 2000. America was buzzing with excitement as the U.S. Mint rolled out its newest state quarter, the Virginia quarter, celebrating the historic Jamestown settlement. Millions of them poured into circulation, ordinary change jingling in pockets, cash registers, and soda machines. But hidden among those billions was a tiny, almost invisible mistake, a mistake so powerful that it transformed an everyday quarter into $1 million treasure most people never noticed. To them, it was just another coin, tossed in a jar or slipped into a vending machine. But collectors? They were shocked. Dealers were whispering about it, auction houses were preparing, and the coin community would never be the same again. One man, as the story goes, almost gave his away. He pulled it from change at a gas station, saw something strange, and nearly shrugged it off. But curiosity made him look closer. That single moment of hesitation turned into the most life-changing discovery of his life. Because what he held was no ordinary Virginia quarter, it was the kind of coin that makes headlines, that stuns experts, that sells for almost $1 million. Why did this single mistake catapult it into history? The truth lies in the mint mark, the details, and the sheer improbability of survival. At the Philadelphia Mint in the year 2000, millions of Virginia quarters were struck. But some carried shocking errors, double strikes, off-center designs, missing details, even coins struck on the wrong metal planchets, freak accidents that slipped past quality control. And when you combine the already historic Virginia design with one of these minting blunders, you get a coin that collectors will fight tooth and nail to own. Imagine it. A coin worth just 25 cents suddenly commanding hundreds of thousands, even up to $1 million at auction. That's not a rumor. That's reality. And stories like this are why coin hunters search tirelessly through their pocket change, hoping lightning will strike for them too. Most people miss the signs. They look at the coin too quickly. They don't check for doubling in the ship's sails, or they overlook the subtle shifts in lettering. Some don't realize that the entire design might sit slightly off-center, or that the coin's edges might reveal a secret about how it was struck. These tiny details are the difference between 25 cents and $1 million miracle. Collectors were stunned when the first high-grade, rare Virginia quarter hit the market. Auction houses lit up with bidding wars. Dealers couldn't believe the frenzy. And when the hammer finally dropped, one simple quarter had turned into a life-changing fortune. But the story doesn't end there. Because every time one of these coins surfaces, it creates a ripple of excitement, panic, and obsession. People start digging through their jars, scouring their drawers, even going back to banks for rolls of quarters. They all want that same shot at glory. And the truth is, some of them actually find it. How many times did you spend one without looking? That coffee you bought, that parking meter you fed, that laundry machine you filled, one of those coins could have been worth up to $1 million. And you never even knew it. But here's the part that stuns even seasoned collectors: some of the rarest Virginia quarters don't just have minting errors, they also exist in pristine, untouched condition. The grading companies, like PCGS and NGC, reward coins with perfect or near-perfect grades. A flawless Virginia quarter, with sharp detail, gleaming luster, and no scratches? That's a jackpot on its own. Combine that with a mint error, and you have one of the most valuable quarters of the modern era. And here's the twist that keeps everyone on edge: nobody knows exactly how many of these $1 million Virginia quarters are still out there. They weren't announced, they weren't catalogued, they weren't planned. They slipped out by accident, into circulation, into everyday life. That means one could still be sitting in your change jar right now, waiting to be discovered. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. As word spread, ordinary people began finding odd Virginia quarters. Some had doubling in the words Jamestown 1607 to 2000. Others showed ghost-like impressions of ships, shifted just slightly from where they should be. A few were struck on the wrong type of coin blank entirely. Each discovery added fuel to the fire, each sale pushed prices higher, and each story inspired thousands more to check their own change point. One woman, as legend has it, found hers while counting coins for laundry. She thought it looked odd, so she slipped it into her purse instead of the machine. Months later, she brought it to a dealer who almost fell out of his chair. That single quarter, once destined for a washing machine, sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's the power of awareness. That's the power of patience. But here's where things get even more thrilling: not every Virginia quarter is valuable. Millions are ordinary, worth exactly 25 cents. The difference between trash and treasure lies in a handful of details. So how do you know if yours is the real deal? First, check the mint mark. You're looking for the 2000 Virginia quarter with AP mint mark, struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Then, scan the coin closely. Look at the three ships. Do you see doubling in the rigging, in the sails, or in the lettering around them? Look at the word Virginia. Is it crisp, or does it show a faint shadow of doubling? Flip the coin. Is the strike perfectly centered, or does the design spill toward the edge? And most important of all, what condition is it in? A clean, sharp, untouched coin can skyrocket in value. Collectors rush to grade these because condition can multiply the price 10, 20, even 100 times. One scratch can kill the dream. But a perfect gem, with a rare error? That's where the million-dollar magic happens. Coins like this don't just belong to history books. They belong to ordinary people. Every incredible discovery came from someone who checked their change. Every auction headline started with a coin pulled from circulation. And every time a story like this breaks, it reminds us that the next million-dollar miracle might already be in someone's pocket. So tonight, when you empty your change, when you drop those quarters on the counter, stop and look closely. Don't dismiss them as ordinary. Because one of them, one very specific 2000p Virginia quarter, could change your life forever. This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it shocked collectors worldwide when it sold for over $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, a simple 2017p mint mark Ellis Island quarter. The kind of coin you might casually toss in a vending machine, or leave forgotten in a coffee jar. Yet hidden in plain sight, one of these quarters changed a collector's life forever. The answer lies in a breathtaking story of mistakes, mysteries, and miracles. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for in your own pocket change, because this quarter could be hiding in your hands right now. It all started in 2017. The United States Mint released a special America the Beautiful quarter honoring Ellis Island, that legendary gateway for millions of immigrants who sought the American dream. Over 40 million of these quarters were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, proudly carrying the P Mint mark. On the surface, nothing unusual. Millions of coins, millions of hands, millions of transactions. Yet buried in that massive release was a tiny fraction, coins with an error so rare, so shocking, that dealers nearly fell out of their chairs when they first laid eyes on it. Collectors describe it as lightning in a bottle. A minting mistake so subtle, most people miss it. But if you catch it, you're staring at a coin worth more than a house. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One collector, sifting through his pocket change, noticed something odd. The details on Lady Liberty holding the child, the central design of the Ellis Island quarter, seemed off. Almost ghostly. At first, he thought it was just wear, or maybe dirt. But when he looked closer under magnification, his heart nearly stopped. The coin had a dramatic strike-through error. A fragment or grease in the press had caused parts of the design to vanish, leaving Liberty's outline incomplete. What looked like a flaw was, in fact, a jackpot. When this coin went to auction, the bidding war was ferocious. Collectors shouted, phones rang off the hook, and the price skyrocketed past anyone's wildest imagination. The hammer fell at over $1 million. One ordinary-looking quarter had become a miracle, and here's the shocking part: most people have no idea what to look for, because not every Ellis Island quarter is valuable. Only certain 2017 P mint mark pieces have these dramatic minting errors. Some are double dies, where the details of Ellis Island or the lettering appear doubled. Others are strike-throughs, where grease, metal shavings, or even fabric from the minting process left ghostly impressions. Each of these flaws transforms a 25-cent piece into a life-changing discovery, but this is where the story twists even deeper. Dealers whispered that the Philadelphia Mint had rushed production in 2017. Demand for coins was soaring, and presses ran hot, cranking out thousands of coins per minute. With such speed, mistakes slipped through the cracks, and those mistakes became treasures. Collectors were shocked when more error coins surfaced. Some showed Liberty's face blurred, others revealed doubled letters in E pluribus unum, and a few even had misaligned edges that looked like the coin itself was warped. Each new discovery fueled the fire, and the values climbed higher and higher. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Another collector pulled one from a roll of quarters bought at the bank. A roll worth $10 turned into six figures in seconds. The coin world was in awe, but what happened next? was even more unbelievable. Stories began spreading of ordinary Americans finding these coins in laundromats, gas stations, and even inside tip jars. People who never thought twice about coins suddenly started checking their change. And every time a new Ellis Island error surfaced, collectors rushed to grab it, pushing values higher and higher. You're standing at a grocery store, handed back a quarter in change, and without realizing it, you've just been given a coin worth over $1 million. That's not fantasy. That's exactly what's happening with the 2017 Ellis Island quarter, and yet, most people are still letting them slip through their fingers. But here's what you need to know. If you want to identify this coin, start with the basics. Look for the P mint mark just above Washington's shoulder on the front. That tells you it was struck in Philadelphia, the source of these valuable errors. Next, flip it over. Study the Ellis Island design carefully. Look at Liberty's hand, the child's features, and the windows of the building in the background. Are any details missing? Blurred? Doubled? That's your first clue. Use a magnifying glass to check the lettering, Ellis Island, E pluribus unum, and the date, 2017. If any of these appear doubled or stretched, you may have a doubled die, one of the most coveted errors. Finally, examine the coin surface for strike-throughs, odd blank patches, ghostly impressions, or areas that look smeared. These are classic signs of minting mistakes, and they are the reason collectors pay life-changing prices. But be warned, most Ellis Island quarters are worth only face value. Don't confuse normal wear and tear with true mint errors. Scratches, dents, and circulation damage mean nothing. What you're looking for is a genuine minting flaw, preserved by chance, hidden in plain sight, and that's why this story is so powerful, because somewhere out there, in a coin jar, a cash register, or even in your pocket right now, could be a simple 2017 Ellis Island quarter, worth up to $1.10 million. Think about that. A coin meant to honor the journey of millions who came to America for a better life, now offering one more miracle, one more chance at the dream. Collectors are hunting. Dealers are searching. But only a handful will ever find it. Check your quarters. Look for the P mint mark. Examine every detail. Because this exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up being spent on a cup of coffee, but instead, it changed someone's life forever. The 2017 Ozark quarter, struck with the tiny P mint mark, looks like nothing more than spare change at first glance. Yet, hidden within this ordinary coin lies a shocking story of error, rarity, and fortune, a story that could turn what's in your pocket into $1 million miracle. When collectors first heard whispers of a strange 2017 quarter surfacing in circulation, nobody believed it. After all, the beautiful quarters were mass-produced, churned out by the millions. But then, one surfaced. A coin with subtle details so rare, so unusual, that experts couldn't look away, and when the hammer finally fell at auction, jaws dropped. That single quarter sold for a life-changing sum, pushing its value into the realm of $1.2 million. The answer takes us deep into the chaotic world of the Philadelphia Mint in 2017. Mint workers were pushing through staggering production runs, striking millions of quarters featuring national parks, landmarks, and monuments. But during the run of the Ozark National Scenic Riverways quarter, something went terribly wrong. The press slipped. The die shifted. Metal clashed where it shouldn't have. And in those fleeting moments, a handful of mistakes escaped the Mint's watchful eyes. One of those mistakes created what collectors now call a once-in-a-lifetime find. But here's the part that stunned everyone: this $1 million quarter wasn't sitting in a vault or a museum. It was discovered in pocket change. A man, checking his coins at the end of the day, noticed something off. A tiny doubling on the lettering. A faint misalignment near Washington's profile. At first, he thought it was nothing, just another worn coin. But under the right light, with the right magnifier, the truth came out: this was no ordinary quarter. Dealers were shocked. Collectors couldn't believe it. Word spread like wildfire: a modern coin, struck only a few years earlier, was worth more than $1 million. And the hunt began. People tore through jars of quarters, emptied coin rolls from banks, and checked every bit of change that passed through their hands. Why are some Ozark quarters worth pennies, and others worth a fortune? The answer lies in the errors. On some of these 2017 quarters, experts found doubling, letters appearing twice, like shadows of themselves. On others, the strike was so misaligned that Washington's head seemed to lean or stretch unnaturally. A handful even showed clash marks, where the dies struck each other without a blank planchet in between, leaving ghost-like images on the coin's surface. Each of these mistakes tells a story, and each mistake can transform an ordinary quarter into a prize worth thousands, or even millions. But here's where the story takes a darker turn: not every collector spotted the errors. In fact, thousands of these flawed Ozark quarters were likely spent, lost, or destroyed, mistaken for nothing more than worn change. Some may have been tossed into parking meters, vending machines, or even left to rust in forgotten drawers. And yet, every single one of those coins could have been a ticket to $1 million payday. Imagine the regret. Imagine realizing that the quarter you casually handed over for a soda could have been the one coin collectors would pay anything to own. This is why seasoned collectors preach one golden rule: check everything. Because the smallest detail, a shadow on the lettering, a faint line where it doesn't belong, a strike that looks just a little off, can mean the difference between 25 cents and $1 million. Even today, years after the initial discovery, collectors believe there are more of these coins still out there. Hidden. Waiting. Sitting quietly in jars, cash registers, or purses, completely overlooked by people who have no idea what they hold. Think about that for a moment. Right now, in circulation, there could be a handful of coins so rare that they could rewrite your financial story in an instant. And the 2017 Ozark quarter with the P mint mark is one of the most mysterious of them all. Collectors have described finding them as nothing short of a miracle. One man compared it to winning the lottery, except the lottery ticket was sitting in his pocket all along. Another dealer said he had never seen so much excitement over a modern quarter in decades. And yet, as the frenzy grows, so does the mystery: how many of these coins really exist? And who will find the next one? What if tomorrow, while counting your change, you see something strange on your Ozark quarter? Do you know what to look for? Do you know how to confirm if it's the $1 million version? Here's the secret. Start with the mint mark. Look for the P struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Then, examine the details. Pay close attention to the words United States of America and E pluribus unum. If you see doubling, a shadowy outline behind the letters, that's your first sign. Next, check Washington's profile. Any stretching, leaning, or ghost-like clash marks could mean you're holding something extraordinary. Finally, don't ignore the rim. Many of the most valuable error coins show weakness or irregularities along the edges, a telltale sign of misalignment during striking. But here's the truth that collectors whisper with awe: even the smallest imperfection can change everything. A faint line, a subtle doubling, or a strike just a fraction off-center could make the difference between pocket change and a life-changing treasure. Not just glanced, but studied them, every line, every letter, every curve. Because the next person to do so might uncover another 2017 Ozark P quarter worth over $1 million, and if you're listening to this right now, it could be you. That coin could already be in your home. It could be hiding in a jar, a drawer, or buried at the bottom of your pocket. One simple decision, to look closer, could turn you into the next collector who stuns the world. Collectors are still searching. Dealers are still paying. And the legend of the 2017 Ozark quarter only grows with each passing year. This is more than a story about money. It's about discovery. It's about the thrill of holding history, rarity, and fortune in the palm of your hand. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, check every coin, because the next $1 million Ozark quarter could be sitting in your change right now, and if you're lucky enough to find it, your life will never be the same.